Hello, and welcome to the first video in the image analysis training set. In this video, we're going to go through a small stack of images and go from beginning to end on how we're going to analyze all of those images and what data we're going to need to collect along the way. So you should have, if you're following along with me, you should have two things open. You should have image J over here, and you should have our training materials folder. All right. Inside this folder here, 3-day-old sample, where we have a image here. I'm going to drag it over, open it up. All right, and we're also going to open up this file right here, which is just all of the macros that we worked on in the training manual, all just in here, nice and easy. All right, so before we get started, let's take a look at what we have in this stack. So we have 20 images total. This first image here, these are all C. elegans that are 3 days old. And this image here is taken under transmitted light. This one here is taken under 410 nanometers. This one is 470 nanometers. And then these are 4 and 5 are just copies of 410 and 470 respectively. So we have 5 worms total, 4 worms, sorry. 4 worms, 20 images. And there it is. All right. So our first step are separating all of these images in here. So using this macro right here, our sort by excitation, we're going to check this code real quick and make sure that it's set for 5 images per worm. And then we are going to run it. Where is it? Sort by excitation. There we go. Move these over here. All right. So this first one, click Save, Control S. You see that it automatically puts the C1 at the beginning of it, and then we're just going to add that it's transmitted light. Save. As that one, the next one we'll put C2, and then we'll add that it's taken at 410. Same thing for this one. Add that it's taken at 470. Close. Same thing for this one. And this one's, remember the other copy of 410. And this one, C5 and taken at 470. All right, I like to close everything between each round. All right, so now we're going to open up our C2. We're mainly going to focus on C2 and C3 here. 4 and 5 are basically just copies in case we don't get some of the data that we want. So we're going to open up C2, and the first bit of data we need to collect, we need to measure the stack. So we get a nice collection of values here. They tell us the name of the picture, the area, the mean. We're mostly worried about the mode here, though. That's what we're going to be using in next step. So just make sure this mode is different or basically different for each worm, and that'll give us what we need. So when we save this file, we're going to save it with the same name as the image that we took it from, and we're going to add .txt. If we don't add anything, it saves as Excel, and we do not like Excel. All right, and do the same thing for C3. Open it up, measure stack, make sure that the mode is happy, and save. All right, that's saved. So next step, we have C3 open here. We're also going to open C2. So C2, C3 right next to each other. You just press Control plus, by the way, to make the images bigger like this. Control plus, Control minus. So we have them next to each other, and we need to make a ratio image, which is going to help us for censoring some of the images if the worm moved too much between pictures. So to do that, we're going to process image calculator. We're going to make sure that C2 is on top, C3 is on bottom, and we're going to divide them. Create new window, and we want it to be 32-bit. We'll press OK. Process everything. We have this image here. Here's our ratio image. It's a little bit prettier if you go to lookup tables, image lookup tables, and click grays. And now we have a prettier ratio image. We're going to save that. Keep it the same as it is, but then at the very end, we're just going to put that it's a ratio image, RI. We'll save it. All right, let's close down everything. Next step is we need to get subtracted images. So we're going to open up our 410. We are going to subtract mode per slice. All right, so this results page right here, we're not going to save this one. What this one tells us is whether the subtraction worked correctly. So you see how there are zeros here, every other line. That means that we did it correctly. So we can exit out of it. We know it worked. We can go over here. This time you have to press save as if you want to save it, because if not, it'll try to override your previous picture. So you save as a TIFF. That's the file format. And with a subtracted image, you just delete this C part. Delete the channel. All right, so we save that. We're going to do the exact same thing with 470. Bring it over. We're going to subtract. Subtracted, we see we have our zeros, so we exit out of this. Click on the image, save as, TIFF. And we're going to take this channel part out. All right, I'm going to close this up. The next thing we need to do is we need to make regions of interests, or ROIs, around the pharynx. So we'll open up one of the subtracted images. I start with 410 just because it's always on the top. And we need to run this code here called threshold particles. Before we run it, let's look at the code real quick. Threshold particles, we're going to be setting a threshold of 1,200 to 60,000. And then analyzing things. More about that in the training manual. But let's go ahead and run it. Threshold particles. All right. We don't really need this results page. It's just here. We will need that threshold maybe. You know, we move over our little ROI window here to the side. I uncheck show all, uncheck labels. Just makes it a little bit less busy. So let's take a look at them. See, the first one looks pretty happy. Click on this again. Here we go. You see that the outline goes all the way around the outline of the pharynx. There are no indentations or no major indentations, and looks pretty good. All right, second one looks pretty good. Third one looks pretty good. Fourth one looks pretty good. All right, so they're all decent. We need to save this ROI stack now. First thing you do is you deselect. If you don't deselect, it might just save one of the ROIs instead of the entire stack. Now we other, save. Now we can save our ROI set. At the end of this, we're going to put whatever threshold we used. If you remember when we looked at the code, it said that we were setting a threshold of 1,200. So that's what I'm going to put down. Here's my ROI stack. I'm going to go ahead and close everything just out of good measure. Sometimes if, you know, extra things are open, some of the programs will get finicky. So I close everything. And now I need to use this ROI set to take some measurements from my subtracted images. So here's my 410 that I just used. I'm going to open up the ROI set with it. And this time we just want measurements of the inside of this outlined region, inside of our ROI. So instead of using the measure stack